Hey everyone, Dan here with the Designer Show on with John. John, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Cool, and we've got our guest Jolene. Jolene, how are you today?
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to
Beautiful.
talk about this.
Oh yeah, this is a great topic. I love
Yeah.
talking about marketing and branding and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. So we're going to get into it here a little bit. We'll give people a chance to get on, but I do want to do one thing. I got a in my finger. I got bit by a dog actually. It was a strange deal. I was walking my dog, another dog was out there, and the other dog was a kind of a German Shepherd, lunged at my dog as I was down petting this other dog. And I stuck my hand out kind of as a, just an automatic response. And while the guy was pulling it back, my finger ended up I had my gloves on, and it ended up in the dog's mouth, and I got ouched. So it wasn't a really bad deal, but yeah, he took a nice chunk. Glad I had my gloves on. That's all I can say. Anyway, be careful reaching for a dog's mouth. I don't know why I said that.
We should have boarded it on the pillow.
All right. We were just talking a little bit about marketing. Let me add this to the stream here so you guys can see it. So Jolene, who does a lot of my website work and a lot of my marketing and my branding and things like that, just updated my home page on Chief Exerts Academy. And I was just commenting how wonderful it looks. And as long as we're there, I want you guys to be aware that we have some classes that are happening right now. We're in the process of the structures, type, and terminology class, which is really going well. It's a lot of fun. We're just working with a lot of people that are really don't have a lot of knowledge about construction. So we're talking about how buildings are put together. Next, we're going to get into a really quick start creating a plan and Chief Architect. This starts at the end of the month. So would love to have you in that. If you want to see how Chief Architect works in 4 sessions, we're going to teach you how you create a complete set of plans in Chief Architect. That's a fun class. I've done that before. Then we're going to get into the structures CAD. So if you want to learn all about how to do the structural things in Chief Architect, how to really master the 2D CAD, how to master all the framing and doing everything in your plan, so you can create that wonderful 3D model with all the elements in it, check out the structures CAD class. And then we're going to go for 15 weeks, once a week for 15 weeks for 90 minutes. We're going to step you through each part of the program. So it's a slow burn. I don't know, slow burn the right word, but it's a nice
slow build.
Yeah, it's just a nice way to learn the software because you're not going to get pounded with a massive amount of information at once. You'll be able to kind of drip the information to you so that you can learn the software a little bit better. So please check these courses out. Would love to have you in them. Really looking forward. It was a lot of fun setting all these things up, and I'm really looking forward to doing the new classes. John will be joining me on all the classes, and we just have fun. So, and again, Jolene, thanks for doing such a nice job and all that.
You're welcome. But did you see what I did there? Like slow build. Get it? Build.
Slow build. Got
it.
We love it. All right. So, Jolene, tell me a little bit about you. I always start this. What's your favorite hobby?
Well, yoga. Of course.
Yep.
For me, it's not necessarily in the hobby lane as it is in the lifestyle lane. But given that, the way life is right now, between the pandemic and we just bought a new property and are expanding our business, it's feeling more like a hobby and less like a lifestyle because I'm not able to get to my practice as much. But definitely yoga.
I'm excited to come down and see your place. You're down in Rochester, Minnesota, which is maybe an hour away from me. So as soon as we can get past this COVID crap, can't wait to come down and see what you're going. You get your leaking roof stop fixed, by the way?
It did. Well, I shouldn't say that. We have a solution. So right. It's a good thing I know builder people.
Yes, that's good. And
I can kind of talk language like a little
bit. So you talk about yoga. You have another business that you do called Big Raven Yoga. Yep. Give me a quick elevator pitch on that one.
Sure. So Big Raven Yoga, we make and manufacture custom yoga mats, and we use original art to put on the canvas, which is actually our mat. So the substrate becomes a piece of full, original, beautiful artwork. We represent a lot of influencer and popular artists, and we provide a platform for them to put their art onto our mat. So it's really exciting. And we do all of that here on our property, which is we're outside of Rochester, Minnesota, outside of Lanesboro. So we're very, very excited about all of our businesses being under one roof, because our farm will allow us to host yoga retreats or corporate retreats or, chief architect, chief expert meetings,
Yeah.
It's a 10-bedroom bed and breakfast with an event center and outbuildings, and it's pretty awesome.
That's exciting. Like I say, I can't wait to come down and see it. So
I'm excited too.
All right, cool. All right, so cool business. I've watched you grow that now for the last couple of years, so I'm really excited that it's going well for you. I told you it would go well.
Yeah,
it's great idea. Great idea.
Thank you.
All right, so now let's talk about what we're going to talk about for our people today.
Yes,
so, obviously we're working with designers and contractors in the construction industry. I think most of the people that'll be on this call or be watching this afterwards are well aware of companies that have really nice branding going on. Okay. So it's not hard to notice when a company's doing a really nice job marketing their company and showing off their brand. So where do we get started?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have prepared a little presentation deck. So why don't I go ahead and
let's just jump into that.
To you. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, you have to add it to the stream.
Okay. I thought I did that. Let me try.
You did. Remember, but we turned it off before. So
Okay. It's a good thing I work with computers all day. Okay.
Yes, you'll figure it out. Find the right button to push. There you go. All right. Cool.
Awesome.
So there you are. So.
And you can see my presentation.
Perfect. 5 ways branding can get you more leads.
That's
awesome.
Right.
That's exactly.
So I think one of the first things that happens when people talk about branding, and John and Dan, tell me if this is what you think. When somebody says, "Tell me about your brand," what is the first thing that comes to mind for you? Well, like what does that even mean?
Tell me what you do.
Okay. Tell me what you do.
Yeah.
What else? Anything else?
Who do you work with?
Okay. Awesome. So it's a
kind of also, tell me about your brand. What are your values? What do you value in your business, and who do you work for?
Exactly. So it's a feeling. It's something that you are describing. It's an entity or a persona, if you will. But a lot of people flop right into it's about logos. Like I'm working on my brand, so I'm working on my logo.
Right.
And it's a part of it for sure, but it's not the only part. So when we think about how does your branding help get you more leads, I've got just 5 ideas, takeaways from our conversation today.
By the way, I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second. So by you guys on the call, what does a brand mean to you? I mean, we'd love to hear you. Add your comments and ask your questions, by the way. We'd love to have you as part of it.
I love that, for sure.
So by all means, please please get in there. And of course, Mike just commented, a client just called, darn it. So now you have to watch it.
Well, tend to the folks who pay the bills, right?
Exactly.
So the first tangible idea is to humanize your brand. And there are so many opportunities for you to do this. And it's specific for me, like what this means. And I can give you some examples. So since I work with Dan, he is easy for me to pick on. But with Dan and his products, his social media estate, his digital reach, it is a very deliberate choice to make sure that Dan himself, his picture, his presence is a part of it. And we put his picture on product photos like you see up here. Of course, we put him on his Facebook page and in his groups. We put him in his ads, and even in landing pages and sales pages and thank you pages. Like here's an example of mine. I have my picture at the bottom of an opt-in form that talks a little bit about me and what I do. Another thing you can do is to make sure that there's a place on your website where you have my team. and you have images of the people who help deliver your products and services.
You know, in this day and age, with everything being so visual, video, social media and everything, I still see a lot of websites where they don't put pictures of themselves. They don't put pictures of their team on the websites, and their social media. They might have a logo, a picture of, you know, something that's not them. I mean, what do you think about that? Is that?
I think it's a misstep. I really do, because when you think about your own behavior, we think about, you know, there's a marketing phrase, and it's people buy from people, right? We buy from people. We don't buy from inanimate, you know, corporate structures, with the exception, of course, of perhaps Amazon. But we love to buy from people. People buy from people. And your branding, you know, as I like to guide myself and our clients, is you are in the business of relationships, not in the business of sales. Because if you're in the business of relationships, sales will come.
What do you say to people that are just a little bit, not the word shy, what's the word for shy? They just don't want to have,
unwilling?
Not unwilling, but they're just a little apprehensive about uncomfortable about having their picture out there. What do you do in that situation?
So the first thing that I would say to that is I have empathy for you. Like, I understand, but get over that, because what you have to do is be vulnerable and be real. And the only way that you can do that, like demonstrate that you're a real human being, is to put yourself out there and to be forward facing for your brand. And it's uncomfortable at first, but then we all just kind of get over it. And statistically, you know, through our metrics, we can prove that when we bring the faces of brands forward, those brands do better. So it's not just a lofty pie in the sky, isn't this a great idea? No. This is one that you can measure and manage your metrics and see how things are changing. So humanizing your brand. Let's say that you have a button where somebody can get to your customer service. There should be a picture of that person, or a pop-up that says, "Hi, my name is Jolene. How can I help you?" Any possible way that you can dial down the distance is what that means.
Okay.
Dial down the distance between yourself and a human being.
Don't use one of those stock images of someone with a little headset on. And...
See, you could, but we're all getting more and more savvy, aren't we? Like, we see those things, and you know that you've seen that same operator in profile, you know, with the mouthpiece on, and it doesn't look authentic. And in building your brand and your identity, being authentic is the key ingredient for a lot of us, because folks see right through the fake, right through it. So humanize your brand in any possible way and in any possible space is my first idea for today. So any other questions on that, or other ideas?
Well, John, you're in the process of setting up your own website. I mean, John and I are not necessarily, we're not business partners or anything. We just work together on, and he's wonderful to have on the show here all the time. Just a wonderful host, assistant host, whatever you want to call yourself, John. But you're setting up your new website. What kind of questions would you pose about your brand, John?
Well, first, I want to admit that I'm one of those people that would be reluctant to putting my picture.
But you're such a good-looking guy, man.
So first, I offer empathy. Like, I get it. I'm sorry.
That being said, over the last couple of years working with Dan and being on video and stuff like that, I've gotten a lot more comfortable with it.
Right. Exactly. And, you know, and to that point, though, John, the other thing is that, like, the expectation isn't that it's photographs or images that you're not comfortable with. You are still the wizard behind the curtain, and you still get to decide. So, like, my picture down there, that's a good picture. I look awesome. But I decided what picture that would be, you know, so I still have control so that I'm comfortable. So, you know, you're not letting go of the mechanisms that bring those images forward. You're just recognizing that I am so much more likely to connect to you if I can see you. And it's a really good test. Like, cruise around websites, as we all do, and just notice how you feel when there is a person and when there is not. Something inside of us changes, and we connect with people.
Jeff says, do I have to use a current picture? I was way cuter 10 years ago.
Well, Jeff, look at my photo. That one's like 3 or 4 years old, and I'm keeping it.
Jeff, I love your silver hair, dude. You look great. You know, you look much more, sophisticated. So I'd use a current picture.
And Dan, that one was from 10 years ago.
Yeah, but I've seen him since, so I know what he looks like.
The point remains, Jeff, you get to decide. You are the wizard behind the curtain. And so it's completely up to you. You're not going to break anything, right? And you should represent yourself in a way that you feel comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. I actually went to a photographer and spent a couple hours just taking a bunch of pictures. I need to do that again. That was a couple of years ago.
Yep,
so,
that's an action item, actually, Dan. Every small business or entrepreneur should put that on the docket for every 2 or 3 years to go and get a fresh batch of photos made. Yeah. Some folks do it every year. Some folks do it every 2 or 3 years. Again, you are in control, and it's about what makes you comfortable.
Yeah, and I think people in general, if you're a little bit apprehensive about putting your picture out there, we're our own worst critics when it comes to that. So, but when I look at someone, I just see them, and it's like, that's just who they are. I mean, we are who we are, and there's not much we can do with it. So once Popeye go, I am what I am, and that's all that I am, you know.
Well, it's interesting. I learn a lot from my children about this. My children are range in age from 16 to 23. And my children have taken hundreds of thousands of photos of themselves through Snapchat and other social media. And they have no critical filter about, oh, that picture doesn't look so great. Yeah. Like, it can be up their nose, or, who cares what the angle is. But the takeaway for me is that they're not trying to be anything other than what they are. Yeah. And so it's a good lesson.
I keep thinking I'm going to be able to embarrass my girls by some of the pictures they put on my phone. Doesn't happen.
They don't get embarrassed, right? Mine don't. They're like, yeah, that's all right. So, okay. All right. Well, let me move on to my second thing you can do right away. So I say brand absolutely everything. But this comes with some rules and some caution. I'm not suggesting that you slap your logo on everything. That's not branding.
Or your picture.
Right, or your picture. That's not what I'm talking about.
In fact, we had that conversation here recently. I was telling you to use less of my picture on.
Right. And I said, okay.
Yeah. I can take a look at myself afterwards.
But what I mean by brand absolutely everything is to have a critical thought about places that you are represented, and it might not get your top level attention. For example, your email signature, or if you have any printed materials, or here's a really great example. I was at a trade show, and my booth was next to GoDaddy. And no offense, GoDaddy, but this was a lesson. And one of my marketing materials was a pop socket. Those little plopper dewdrops that go on the back of your phone so that you can hold your phone. And GoDaddy was giving out pop sockets, and Big Raven Media was giving out pop sockets. GoDaddy's solution to a pop socket was plopping their logo on this circle and giving it away. Yeah. Now, when you think about that critically, who would want to walk around day in and day out with a GoDaddy pop socket, right? It doesn't really fit in brand loyalty, right? Like, that's taking quite a leap. Instead, if you think about it, how can I create an element that represents my brand that people would want to use, where I'm not just slapping Big Raven Media on everything? Those are not trinkets and trash that people want to use. So our solution was come up with artwork, a cute little raven on a cute little background, and put our URL somewhere down at the bottom and make it not the focus of this particular piece of marketing material.
Yeah.
So the lesson is that slapping your logo on everything is not the branding that I'm talking about. I'm talking about thinking critically about all of your spaces, sales pages, landing pages, and not just the easy stuff like business cards and stationery, every single thing that you touch. Another idea is like, for example, we're all on Zoom or StreamYard or meetings like this, streaming all the time. Dan, you've got a branded vision behind you. You've got my logo and your logo.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I've just moved, so I'm not really in any kind of branded space. But in my brand, some of my identifiers are expertise, friendly, nurturing, caring, luxury. Those are some of the personas that I apply to my brands. Now, if I was sitting in a room full of moving boxes or sitting in a closet, I am off brand, right? So whatever I do that represents my brand, I want to make sure that I am being consistent, that I have consistent messaging. Another example would be, let's take Dan. Let's take Dan, for example. If Dan were all of a sudden to put on a suit and tie and be on a call like this, would that be on brand or off brand?
Yeah, people would be wondering, where's the funeral?
Right. That would be off brand, right? So you have to make decisions about your brand whenever you are representing it. And that's what I mean by brand absolutely everything.
And we've even talked about that, we'll get some our own swag here and put my logo and maybe put the chief logo on one of the shoulders or something. So my brand more the attention than chief architect, although that is kind of part of our brand, but
right, exactly.
It isn't, but.
And for me, even just and I don't get it done every week, and I wish I would, but for me, the pictures that I pick to put in my background here are things that I think say something about me.
Yep.
Yeah,
no, that makes perfectly good sense. And I'm going to get to it here in point 5, but we all should have.
By the way, where are you today, John?
I'm at home today, but that picture's taken at Bemidji State University, a park that's just next to there, looking out over Lake Bemidji.
I thought I recognized that. I've been there. It's a neat little university. I love it. We were driving around that one day when we were up there. Cool.
So when I was saying that my brand is, and I gave you 5 personality identifiers, we all should be able to do that. Because then when you are building assets or telling stories or representing your brand, you are fitting into your own descriptions. And this is another example. So one of the things that we like to do is we like to give stickers when we are at promotional events or inside of mailers, and for all of our businesses, yoga, media, and farm. And if I were to send you a sticker of Big Raven Media, just like this, I'm asking a lot. I'm asking you to put my brand on your water bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big ask. It's kind of like, in the customer journey when, people first need to be aware of us, and then they need to, engage with us somehow. But a lot of us go from, you're aware of me, now buy something from me. And we skip over so many steps in a sales journey. Instead, we need to nurture people along. I mean, you don't propose on the first date. And so we need to think that way too. So instead of, here's my logo, we just met, slap it on your water bottle, we think more critically about that, and we created this cute little bird. Now, do you want to put this cute little bird on your water bottle? Maybe. Because I'm not asking so much of you. But yet, over on the side of the sticker, it says bigravenmedia.com. So we're always thinking of ways to nurture the relationship instead of going right to the proposal.
Right.
So, yeah.
So in that situation there, are you, because you're not really necessarily advertising yourself to someone who doesn't know you in that situation?
Mm-hmm.
So is the intent more to remind the person that you gave it to?
It's more about
engage with them.
It's more about cold leads, or people who are just aware of us, or when we're at a trade show. It's the same thing. If I were, as the pop socket, if I were to hand out Big Raven Media stickers, why would I do that? What does that do for me?
Yeah.
It doesn't really align with moving anybody through the customer journey, right? They're aware of me, okay, right. But so what? What's the next step? So instead we think, okay, what would you put on a water bottle? Maybe this cute little bird and it's got our URL. Now I'm not asking so much of you, right? I'm being much more nurturing of our relationship instead of, hi, we just met. Here's a sticker that you should like slap on your water bottle.
Where's the URL on that big bird?
It's actually, it comes up when it's actually a sticker. It goes down here. It's right here in the white. It says Raven Media or Farm or whatever the case may be. So, all right, my next idea, third tangible takeaway is no matter the platform, no matter the channel, no matter the space, have a consistent, unified look, feel, vibe. So what we do is we come up with style sheets for ourselves and all of our clients, and it is a series of colors, it's a series of fonts, and we stick inside that style sheet so that no matter where we are presenting a unified look. Because it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to be one thing on one channel and look a completely different way on another. And so that consistency will help you get more leads, because no matter what channel people are on, it's not like they're starting from scratch. Like they have a basis of experience to draw upon to help them feel connected to you and to your brand. Yeah. So you have to be consistent. Any thoughts on that one?
You know, one of the things that we did back when I was in construction at a company called, what was our company? And Builder One of Minnesota was the name of the company. We had a little tagline that said, "We're the ones with the hammer in the yard." And of course, our job signs were big round signs with a picture of a big hammer on it.
Big hammer, yeah.
So that kind of was part of our brand back then. It worked really well.
I love it.
It was fun putting that together.
The takeaway for any size company, any construction company or contractor, is that we all have to get our digital house in order. And what I mean by that is when I go on Facebook or Instagram or Google My Business or your website, I feel like I am in the same environment. I have the same kind of feeling. I know where I am. And that even goes all the way down to our responsibility with URLs, our responsibility with phone numbers and addresses. Everything in your real estate, your digital footprint, needs to be pointing in the same direction. You would probably be surprised how many people I work with that have inconsistent messaging all over their platforms. It's almost like they started from scratch with each channel and each location. They started to build up their reputation, and that will work against you. Everyone, it's kind of like you wouldn't expect to go to the Coca-Cola website and see red, white, and blue. You would go there and expect to see red and white, right?
Right.
So it has to, and it's funny how sometimes we just don't think of these things. And again, email signatures, landing pages, sales pages, emails that go out to people. Absolutely every single bit of your digital real estate is what I'm talking about.
Sure. That makes good sense. Yeah. It's when we work on our stuff together, it's nice that we don't have to even talk about that stuff.
No.
We just know it's going to be part of it because we've been through all that already.
Yep, exactly.
And of course, when you make those choices, it happens in like 30 seconds, right? 30 minutes, you figure that all out. Is that? No, it takes, I'm just being facetious. That takes a little time to get that right.
It's all front end work, really. It's all things that you should do at the front end. Yeah. But with that, though, in this consistent, look and feel, once you've got it established, like your color story, your fonts, the way that you present information, you don't want to then all of a sudden just do something new that doesn't connect in some kind of way. Like there have to be tentacles that connect that real estate, right? Like you wouldn't, yeah. So you know what I mean. All right.
And even with what we've got going, I feel like we're still in the early stages of really defining my brand and what I'm up to and what I want to do.
Sure.
We just keep working on it and building on it. And
right.
It takes time.
But Dan, down the road maybe, or even now, he could take just part of his logo there, just the part that's got the house on it, and put it on something, and people would still know that it's him.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's the goal. That's part of what that logo is all about.
Yep, you can take pieces and parts, and you know, and even with Dan, like if Dan said, I want to make stickers to give out at a trade show with my logo, I would say, let's think that through.
Right.
Because all your branding is connected to the customer journey.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe loyal customers, or maybe customers who have, you know, gone through a series of classes and you want to give them some kind of a badge or something. Yeah, let's do it there. But at the beginning of a relationship, you're kind of asking a lot.
Yeah.
You know, you're proposing on the first date. So your marketing assets have to fit the customer journey. And that brings me to my fourth takeaway for today, which is replace multi-channel marketing with omni-channel marketing. And I have an example and what I mean by that.
Well, that's good, because we don't have any idea what that means.
Okay. So I interact with Chief Exerts Academy on desktop. I interact with you on mobile. I interact with you on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Google. I interact with you over the phone. And my expectation is that you know me no matter where I enter in. Every single platform is an omniverse where I don't have to start from scratch. So if you are selling...
Are you saying you don't have to start from scratch as a customer?
Correct.
Or the client? Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So if I'm on your website and it says call for a consultation or click for a consultation, your marketing efforts need to talk to each other in such a way that you know that's the same person. Or if there's a way that they go through a process that they're able to pick up either on mobile or on desktop, that they don't have to reintroduce themselves, or that that experience is unified, right? So instead of like making a piece of content and plastering it all over every single channel, we want to make sure that we recognize and acknowledge folks who have already engaged with it in a different channel. So it's like our back end and the way that we tag or track or have awareness of who's doing what. We need to be looking at that data and be thinking in a more, it's working more with a person rather than the channel, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So you want to have a unified look everywhere you're marketing. And you want it to be identifiable, consistent. So, you know, no matter where you are, you know, it's like,
or as more and more businesses develop apps, same thing. Like if I'm on your app, I want to make sure that you know me and let's say your app has a cart, right? So when I'm on desktop, you better know that I already have something in my cart on the app. So it's this omniverse and the way that our digital real estate is integrated and talks to each other.
That makes sense, John?
Yeah, it's kind of like answering the phone the same way every time.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly it. You got it, John.
So when you call me and I say hello, that's all you're going to get.
Hey, what do you want?
And you know what? If that's on brand for you, that's awesome.
There you go.
I like that. Well, and you know, that leads me to another point about it's about language and tone too, right? Like if you were to say, you know, good evening, you know, this is John, you know, and you were very formal and, you know, like it would be off brand, right? That's not how you are. Yeah. Or if in my brand, we were like, pursuant to your idea. No, we don't talk that way. So every single thing has to align with those 5 words, whatever your 5 words might be. Right. All right. The next thing.
Hold on.
Yep.
I forgot to do this at the beginning. My apologies. Those of you that are on the stream and you're looking at our website, you've probably already seen this. If you're looking on YouTube or Facebook, you may not have seen this, but this is Jolene, and this is a little about her, you know, a little bit about her, and you can click on the links to go look at her websites. If you want to order a yoga mat, they're amazing. I don't do yoga, so I don't have one, but if I did, I would have one. Yeah, you have to talk me into doing yoga one of these days. But there's a link right here to build your brand worksheet, and you can go ahead and click on that, and just enter your information here, and you can do a little worksheet where you can start filling in some of the information about, it gives you some thinking points about what you should be doing with your brand. And I think if you don't do anything other than that, it's going to help get your mind in the right place as you start developing marketing for your company. So highly recommend that you get that.
Thank you.
And then if you're interested in working with Jolene, you could go to bigravenmedia.com and start a conversation, see what it would take. So I will attest that working with you, we've been together over 3 years now, and it's been extremely money well spent for what we've done. And it just keeps getting better and better. So again, thank you for all the hard work that you put in. And yeah, Jolene's really fun to work with. So check her out.
Thank you, Dan.
You are.
And that was perfect timing, actually, because the next thing, my next very tangible takeaway is this worksheet. And when you take a look at the worksheet, your first emotional reaction might be, oh, crap, this is so much work.
More stuff.
I'm just going to give it to somebody else to do.
Yeah. Who can I assign this to, right? Who can I delegate it to?
Right.
And so honestly, I'm at the age and stage in my life and career where I feel like I can just tell it to you straight. And the straight shoot is get over that, because no one can decide this but you. This is your brand. This is your business. It's your baby, and it's your vision. And for every one of my businesses, I have done this, I swear to God. And the reason that I've done it is I then action and ask other people to make assets on my behalf, make social content, create things that reach out to our customers. If I don't do this part first, they have no roadmap. They have nowhere to go. And so this is the foundation of making sure you can answer that question. Is this on brand or is it off brand? And some things are simple. Some things are, I know what that is, but it might just help to write it down and make sure that you are crystal clear on what that means. And so, for example, like mission statement. Okay. I'm not suggesting that you come up with a mission statement of olden days and put it on your website, or make sure that you tell people this is my mission statement, because your customer doesn't care, right? Not so much, not really. They don't care about that. But in your inside, in your working teams, and in what you're doing to promote and market and be present to your customers, it matters. And let me give you an example. So if you haven't defined your why, it's really, really easy to have a whole bunch of whys. And especially in your field, if you don't narrow down and decide your why, you might attract people that you can't take care of. So you have to, get rid of the ones that don't fit so that the ones that do can get through the channel and get to you. So defining your why is the very, very first step. And so start there and just give that a little bit of a think. And here on my worksheet, it's like if you think of something related to it, you might jot it down, or maybe you workshop out your version and then drop down menu to say that it's done. And a lot of these things you might already have done, but the idea is that you're giving it some critical thought and you're not just branding by accident. Because if you're looking at your conversions and maybe people are getting to your website, but they're not converting, do we have a branding issue? Are they getting there and maybe they're not feeling what you wanted them to feel? So, for example, it's lower on my sheet somewhere. I can't see it because I'm absolutely blind. But I've given you a list of 25 different adjectives. And it's what I mentioned earlier. If your brand had a persona, what would it be? And let's say that your words are friendly, nurturing, fun, you're an expert, and you are joyful. And they got to a really stuffy website that didn't have casual language, that didn't represent those 5 words. You're off brand.
Yeah.
And so that's why you start first with the work that I am suggesting here on this worksheet. And the do, like, what are you going to do with it? Well, you're going to decide it and use it as your map for everything else you do.
Kind of like a blueprint, huh?
I'm like a blueprint.
We know what those are, John.
Exactly.
Telling a story.
Exactly. Branding is a feeling, right? And you can't get people get a feeling, but it might not be the one you want them to have. Yeah. So why not, for lack of a better word, engineer or craft or create or design
Clarify.
What that feeling should be. Clarify what that feeling should be.
Right.
Makes sense.
So that's
well, that's like when people come to my website, if they go to the About page and they see all the training class pictures of people that, I'll bring that up real quick. One of the things that I really want people to know is that, hey, we like to have some fun when we're doing things. We want people to get to know each other. We want to, it's just, everything that we're doing, it's not a dry topic. It's like,
right.
We get together, we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna learn a lot. We're gonna be serious, but we're gonna have fun doing it. So that's what I really, I'm hoping that these pictures bring some of that out. And
if you had people in rows, conservatively smiling, like set up like a class picture, it would be off brand. Because
we do those too when we're there. There's those pictures in the background.
We have those too, yeah.
But then Dan publishes these.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like the class photo, I would love to have that for down the track to remind me of all the wonderful people that I met. But when promoting my business and conveying a feeling, that might be off brand. I want the fun one with everyone, being animated and showing they're having a good time.
Exactly.
So it's just an example of how every single thing tells the story and emits an emotion about your brand.
Exactly.
If you're having trouble getting leads, is your brand, are your wires crossing? Are you having a misfire of some kind? And the things to do right away are to check all of your pieces of digital real estate. Are you making sense and pointing in the right direction across all of your channels? And for your customers, if they experience you on a website, on mobile, on social, on an app, are they having a consistent experience? Do you know who they are? Or are you saying, we care about customers and customers are number one, and then you don't remember who they are? You're off brand.
Yeah. Cool.
Good. Yeah. So those are those 5 things. So if you download it, you just work through the worksheet. It's a copy, you just copy as a sheet and off you go. And I think you plug away at it a little bit at a time, or you just sit down and you really give yourself the space to come up with your answers about what you want people to feel when they interact with you.
Yeah. It's the start of a journey, basically.
Yes.
And that's kind of how I look at everything that I do. I'm looking at my other screen at my website stuff and where I've come from, where I want to go. This is just part of the journey. This is the path that I've chosen. And I just want to have some fun doing it. And that's my goal. Of course, I want to make some money too. And I think that's kind of why we're all here.
Yeah, we'll do that. Let's do that.
Pay those damn bills, Right. So it is. And John, you've always been a little, your construction website is actually pretty nice. I thought you did a nice job on it as far as you took it. But back in the day when, we've been working together, what now, 6 years?
Something like that,
yeah. Something like that. And over that time, I've gotten to know you, and I know that you've never gone back and updated that site.
No.
You took it to a point, and it's like, huh?
I've started it twice, and I've never finished it. Right.
And I think part of the reason why is because you've been talking about quitting doing construction for a long time. So like, why would you want to advertise more construction when you don't really want to do it?
Well, there's that, but
I think that's deep down, that's part of it. but now you've got a new journey to go on too, with chief
Right.
architect and training and everything that you're working on. So now you're starting your new website, and you've got your daughter working on it. So I'm pretty excited to see what you come up with, and yeah, it'll be fun to watch that journey take off, because I've seen you just really go gangbusters with your new design business and everything that you do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and part of, I think about that. Why didn't I ever finish the website? And stuff like that, and probably my main motivation is to help people, right? So if I've got somebody to help, I don't need to go find somebody else to help, right?
yeah.
So, and things trickle in enough to keep that desire alive.
Yep.
So I don't need to go looking for more. So I never finish it.
But if I may, you both are describing something that happens to all of us at one point or another,
Yeah.
where we get on a path and we have to look back at the old paths, and the moment is, oh my gosh, it's going to take so much time to redirect people to a new path.
Right.
And that's how our digital real estate that I'm talking about is taking people in so many different directions,
Right.
because we haven't unified that messaging. It happens to all of us.
Yeah.
So are in really good company. But as you describe what you want to do, John, I hear that your brand is helpful. It's a helpful brand. So what are you doing that lets people know you're helpful and that's important to you?
Right.
Yeah, and I have that same thing, and that's why finally getting my blog going, reasonable. This show, getting that going, a ton of work, but I love doing it, and I love helping people.
Right.
It's a thing that I don't make any money doing this. You don't make any money doing this, John, other than maybe we get some referrals or something.
Right.
But the joy comes from just helping, giving good information, having guests like Jolene on, and sharing good information that can possibly help other people do better in their life and in their business.
Right.
So that's part of our brand. That's just what we do.
And
So,
what I hear you saying too, Dan, is like, we are in the business, our brands, we're in the business of relationships. And
yes.
if we're in the business of relationships, sales and leads come out of that. But our focus is the relationship and helping without expectation of return. I think that is for me, that's the most important piece, because you'll meet other people in industry who will say, what's in it for me, or what am I going to get out of it, or how am I going to be compensated, or that's not worth my time.
Yeah.
And that might fit their brand, and that's cool.
That's always something that has to be going on too, because
Right.
I mean, you're not doing this for free. I mean, we're not charity,
Right.
but at the same time, we can still be helpful. And
in a customer journey, in a sales journey, awareness, right? We have to be aware of other brands, companies, and services, and then we engage with them like we're engaging here. And then down the track, we get to conversion.
Yeah.
Don't start with, hi, my name is Jolene, buy my stuff.
Yeah.
We back up a bit.
How about please buy my stuff? Does that help?
Yeah, please buy my stuff.
Well, but there's a place for that too.
In the journey, for sure.
Well, no, even that up front. I mean, depending on who you are and what your brand is and what you're doing, there is a place for that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well,
there has to be. You have to ask for the set.
Right.
But how do you do that? You don't do that. Like I say, you don't, ask to get married on the first date.
Right.
Right. Unless you're my sister. I think she did on the second date. Linda, she asked her husband on the second date because he was going to be deployed, and he had good dental insurance.
But I want to say though, John, you bring up something important about, especially in the field of contractors and construction and builders, is that when your leads are inbound, meaning they found you, they went to Google, they looked for contractors in my area or whatever, and they came through the channel wanting to buy a good or a service, that's a little bit different in sales journey than the people that we see on social, or the people who are coming in, just kind of cruising, right? Like, that's part of the brand, is that you identify that people come in through different channels and there are different places in the sales journey. Yeah. Those leads are much warmer. They're inbound, they're determined, you've got something they want. And so, that is a little bit different relationship than I'm coming to you. I'm bringing my.
I'm thinking about about subcontractors, for instance.
Right.
They have a service that they provide.
Yep.
They're not necessarily going to be nurturing a relationship with the client, except for me. They're going to
right
with me.
Yeah, the general
my clients, but I need to nurture a relationship with my client and all of my subs too.
Yeah, because their subs are part of your brand.
Yes, exactly. That's such a good point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And are you hiring subs that are on brand, right? Or are you hiring subs that are off brand?
Right. Yeah. Are their goals as far as workmanship different than my goals as far as workmanship? Yeah.
And it represents you.
Disconnect the brand.
Yeah. Right. Show up on the job site swearing and cussing and smoking, and it's probably not part of your brand.
Where's their priority? I want their priority to show that they're for the customer, not themselves.
So people on the call here, we haven't had a lot of questions happening. Have you thought about your brand? Do you have a brand that you're working with? Does some of this resonate with you to make sense on how you could get started creating your brand? It's a process. It takes a long time to develop a brand and
it can pivot too. And this little worksheet that I've created, John, to your point, even the people who represent your brand, as you go through and you describe what our brand is it, we are friendly, we are courteous, we listen, we are patient, right? Those identifiers should be a part of your hiring decisions and expectations that you make with your subs about how they represent your brand.
Yeah, I want my subs and my employees to want to work for me because of my brand.
Exactly. Yeah. And my little worksheet's going to help you, everyone, help us all, get all of that out. Because it's funny how, even sometimes, a marketer like me, I do things that are off brand. And every time I do, I'm like, ugh, I didn't think it through. I just slapped it together, or I was being reactionary. And that's off brand, and that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So we can catch and pivot. But it happens to the best of us for sure.
Yeah.
But if you're having trouble with conversions, I would take a look at branding.
So Mike's back. He says, I'm on the West Coast, so I have a wave in Seattle. Colors green and blue.
Love that. That's awesome.
So cool. Unfortunately, he missed almost all of our conversation.
Yeah.
But he'll go back and watch it again. So it'd be fun to hear your comments afterwards.
That's awesome. Oh, see, yep, getting another set of eyes. That's a great.
Oh, perfect. Awesome. There you go.
I would say too that when it comes to colors and logos and brands and your identifier of artwork, make sure that you challenge yourself to look at that in all different sizes. One of the things I've been working with on Dan's logo is his tagline is small. And so we have to figure out ways to make that more legible when we're doing a social media post that is on a mobile phone and is, at best 2 inches by 2 inches. So you want to make sure that, people can see and read the things that you're putting together.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a challenge. It really is.
Dan, me with your logos, and as you are preparing them, a suggestion that I have for everyone is to make sure that you create versions that are also transparent. So instead of picking up and plopping down a logo on a white square, you make it transparent so you can put it anywhere and it looks like it's supposed to be there instead of looking like something that got added later.
So how should people get started with this? I mean, you get your worksheet, fill that in, then what do they do?
So get the worksheet, fill it in, and then start plucking away at your digital real estate. Where are you off brand and what needs your attention? And how can you get all of your assets, messaging, feeling,
people have to be on social media?
Pointing in the right direction. No, you don't have to be on social media, but if you're and the bare minimum, you should be on Google. And we did a chat about that, designer show number 8. Yeah. if you're not, at the minimum, you need to have a Google My Business set up.
Well,
so
here's kind of my take on that, and I've talked about this over the years, is that you want to have a good website. Okay, that is your online brochure, your online your brand, everything about you is on your website now. It helps to be in social media to drive people to your website, but you don't have to. But your business cards, your logos on your shirts, your trucks, your job signs, your newsletters, everything that your emails, everything that you put out into the marketplace to market what you do should be driving people to that website so they can witness and experience your brand. So again, you don't have to be on social media to have that happen. There's lots of other ways to have that happen. But if you have a unified brand out there with everything that you're putting out that drives people to your website and it's still unified, looks good, that gives a sense of confidence to people, I think, that are going to get them to pick up the phone or type in a message to get in touch with you. So
and the rules are the same. The rules are the same if you're in print, right? If your assets are printed, if your assets are on your website, or if your assets are on Angie's list, wherever they are, we still need to have a consistent feeling, a consistent aesthetic and tone and vibe, because otherwise our customers get confused.
Mm-hmm.
So Mike says he avoids social media and he's 100% website.
Perfect.
Okay. So that works. Again, so people that get all worked out about, I can't be on Facebook, I can't be on all those channels.
Fine. I would argue you still need to be on Google. You
get Google ads. You should be paying Google to send people to recognize you and send people to your site, right?
Well, and from show 8, Dan, everyone should be set up on Google My Business. Everybody.
Yeah, true.
And if you haven't set up your Google My Business, go back to Designer Show 8 and download. We created a step-by-step guide.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And set it up, because that's how contractors find subs if they're looking for more or whatever the case may be. We all need to be on Google.
Yeah. Mike says social media is too time consuming. Yeah, exactly. It can be.
Don't do it. Right?
It can be it can also be very distracting.
Yeah.
Which again is part of time consuming. So.
Right. But here we are on, YouTube, which is social, and Facebook, which is social, or through Dan's website. But the rules are the same, right? Your digital real estate is your website as well. And then anything you print, and Google My Business, which I'll fight to the death for, is a really, really important thing to do.
It's free. Yelp has brought 8 jobs my way.
Yelp is the same way. You have to set up that to be branded to your business.
Yeah.
There are controls and measures inside there where you can have your own real estate.
Yeah. Have you branded Yelp, Mike? Let's see what he says.
I bet he has.
I bet he has too. All right, we got a couple minutes. He says YouTube is excellent. All right, so we got a couple minutes left. Jolene, what are your final words about what people should be doing here?
My final words are: give yourself the gift of time and just sit down and have some critical thought about some of these things. Do a couple of them. It can feel overwhelming to, try to sort it out all in one moment, but give yourself the gift of time and think about your business, and don't assign it to anyone else, because it will come back and it might feel great, and it might feel like shoes that don't fit. So do it. Good point.
But just get started.
Yep. Talk away at it.
It doesn't happen instantly. It's a journey that is constant and continue, and you'll never stop building your brand. And actually, it really becomes a lot of fun once you get into it.
I think the best place to start and the easiest place to start is the 5 words, like the 5 personality descriptors about your brand, because it guides everything that you do.
True.
To your point, John, you wouldn't hire somebody that wasn't helpful or communicated helpfulness. That would be off-brand. Right. But until you decide that, it might, not be as, innate.
Yeah. And I have hired people that aren't that way, and it's very frustrating.
Yes, exactly.
Tony says, thanks for inspiration and clear information, Tony. Awesome. Nice to see you.
I like your profile picture, Tony. Like, that looks kind of scary. Like, what you doing?
Tony's from Alaska.
Yeah, that's right. He is from Alaska.
Yep.
It looks like a precipice situation.
But everybody gets started. Just take that first step and do one thing, and it'll start snowballing into, you'll get more excited about it, And over time, a year from now, when you look back at where you came from, you go, wow, that was, really time well spent. And you don't have to spend a lot of money to get a good brand. So,
and as I'm always screaming, consistency compounds. The more you are consistent and the more you stick with it, the better things will be.
Cool. All right.
And I understand, Jolene, what you're saying about needing to do it yourself, but at the same time, I can see myself having a better experience doing it if I include other people.
Sure.
Even if we're just dialoguing.
Yeah.
And coming up with how we want to describe.
Yeah. Oh, I love that idea. As long as you don't say, do our branding, you're good.
No, that would be somebody that knows me that I would want to.
Right.
All right, so we got to run next week. Join us. We've got the people from Canvas coming on. We're going to talk about how you can scan rooms and turn them into chief architect drawings. We've got some pretty interesting things coming. I think you guys might like this. So watch for that coming. We'll get that posted here, and you guys can sign up and come next week. So, Jolene, thanks again for being here. It's really awesome.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
See you later.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep, great information, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.